Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into some really fascinating source material. It outlines this comprehensive and honestly often disturbing cosmological idea called the Enochian matrix. It's more than just a creation story, isn't it? It's like a full systems manual describing consciousness, how it's supposedly fragmented, and, well, the alleged manipulation of reality itself.
Yeah, it's incredibly detailed.
So our mission today is really to unpack the basic architecture of the system as described in the sources. We want to understand the mechanics, but also get at the why behind it, this fundamental paradox that supposedly started it all.
Right, and you have to start with the source, this idea of a singular, infinite consciousness. According to these texts, the original state was, well, perfect, but it had this inherent, maybe flaw isn't the right word, dilemma.
Okay.
The dilemma is, if you are literally everything, how do you experience yourself? How does infinite wholeness know its own nature if there's nothing outside of it? For contrast, they actually call this the ontological wound, or sometimes divine loneliness.
Divine loneliness. That immediately makes me wonder, though, if the source is perfect, why is the solution to this loneliness something that seems to involve, trauma, separation, forgetting? Couldn't a perfect consciousness figure out a gentler way?
That's a really key question.
Hmm.
What's fascinating is how the sources frame it. They argue separation wasn't a punishment, not really. It was more like a deliberate act, maybe even an act of love. The only way to create the possibility of relationship, even if it's just relationship with different aspects of the self.
Okay.
So the impulse isn't from a lack, like something's wrong, but more from this powerful ache of infinite potential wanting to be actualized. Like imagine a single constant musical tone. It's basically silence.
Yeah.
You need dissonance, harmony, different notes to actually make music.
Okay, I see the analogy. And that need for a relationship or maybe experience is why we see similar ideas elsewhere. The sources mention the Kabbalistic Tzimtzum. How does that connect?
It's a really powerful parallel. Tzimtzum is this concept where the infinite had to pull back, withdraw, breathe in, just to create an empty space, a void, where something finite, something separate from the all, could even exist.
Ah, creating the canvas first.
Exactly. And similarly, the sources point to the Vedantic idea of Laya. That's where Brahman, the ultimate reality, sort of pretends to forget itself. The universe becomes this cosmic game of hide and seek. The whole point is that when the source eventually finds itself again, through its fragmented parts, the experience is genuine, it's earned, it feels new. So, okay, the space is made, the intention is set. How does that singular consciousness actually become, well, this, our complex reality? The matrix model describes a process of vibrational descent.
Like turning down the frequency.
Pretty much. Think of it like a spectrum. Pure consciousness is the highest, fastest frequency, almost unimaginable, like pure light. And then, as the vibration slows down, you get denser and denser expressions until you reach physical matter, which is like the slowest, deepest frequency on the scale.
Okay, let's track that descent. What are the key stages as it slows down? What's the purpose of each layer?
Right. So the first kind of slowing down creates what the texts call the archetypal forms. These aren't physical things yet. They're more like the divine blueprints, the Platonic ideals almost.
Like justice, beauty.
Exactly. Concepts like justice, beauty, love, even conflict. They hold the seed of every possible story, every potential experience, but they're still pure idea without tangible form.
And then it steps down again.
The next major step down is the emotional astral reality. This is where things start to feel more familiar, maybe. It's where those pure concepts acquire, well, feeling, tone.
Ah, so love isn't just an idea, it's a feeling.
Precisely. Love starts to have that rush of sensation. Fear gains a texture, a weight. This is described as the realm of the collective unconscious, where powerful myths, big dreams, deep-seated emotions gestate. It's the energetic layer bubbling just beneath the physical.
Okay, getting closer. And just before we hit the physical world?
Just before that, you get the etheric template. Think of this as the energetic scaffolding, or maybe a holographic blueprint.
Like the direct energy pattern for a specific thing.
Yes. This is the invisible structure, you might call it prana or ki, that holds the specific design for, say, a tree, or a human body, or even a planet. It's the energetic mold that guides how physical matter will actually arrange itself. Without that etheric template, matter would just be chaos.
Got it.
And then finally, the physical material realm coalesces. And according to this model, this isn't a failure. It's the ultimate achievement of the system. The infinite has successfully created the illusion of absolute finitude, of separation, so convincingly.
That consciousness can genuinely forget where it came from.
Exactly. It gets lost in physical laws, cause and effect, linear time. It forgets it's part of the infinite playing a game.
Okay, that descent makes sense mechanically. But for this whole game of rediscovery to actually work, the forgetting has to be really, really thorough. Which brings us to this amnesia protocol the sources call hashtar. That sounds intense, like a cosmic anesthetic.
Hashtar is described as maybe the most crucial and you could say ingenious part of the whole design. If the goal is real growth, genuine rediscovery, the soul can't constantly remember its, God source. It would spoil the whole experience, wouldn't it?
Right, no stakes.
So hashtar isn't just one thing. It's described as a complex layering of veils. Each one is designed to lock consciousness more firmly into this highly localized individual human perspective, making it forget its eternal nature.
And this layering starts right away, like at birth.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
The first layer is the veil of incarnation, just the sheer shock and trauma of being born.
That transition.
Yeah, that sudden shift from, say, oceanic unity in the womb to gasping for air, cold, separation. It's the first massive shock. It immediately imprints vulnerability, the fear of non-survival, right into the core of our physical being.
Wow. And then society reinforces it.
Instantly. That's the veil of socialization. Language itself, while amazing, is a big part of it. Learning I versus you, mine versus yours, it drills that sense of fundamental separation into our minds from infancy.
And just surviving keeps us focused downwards, right? The veil of material necessity.
Absolutely. The constant biological needs, hunger, thirst, seeking shelter, avoiding pain, they powerfully anchor the soul's attention in the material world. It becomes this endless, necessary distraction from asking those deeper, who am I really, kind of questions.
Then you've got the more subtle layers building up.
Right, the veil of social conditioning, all the inherited beliefs, cultural norms, family expectations, gender roles. They create this thick blanket over the soul's innate sense of purpose or truth. And then there's the veil of trauma and shadow.
The personal stuff.
Yeah, the unresolved wounds, the painful experiences that make us build protective walls within our psyche. These create contracted zones, areas where our consciousness is afraid to go, further limiting our awareness.
It sounds incredibly restrictive, so why create such a system full of friction and forgetting? Is it just cruel?
Well, here's the paradox, according to the sources. These veils aren't just about confinement. They're also seen as essential resistance training. They provide just enough friction, enough challenge.
For the soul to build strength.
Exactly, to develop discernment, resilience, and ultimately to achieve conscious liberation, not just passively returning to unity. It's like the cage itself forces the prisoner to become strong enough, clever enough, determined enough to break free a strength they might never have gained otherwise. Okay, so that's the experience from the soul's perspective. But the sources say there are other players involved in maintaining this whole structure. This descent didn't just affect human souls, did it? It also impacted the cosmic managers, the beings called the Watchers.
Right, they were supposed to be overseers, like system administrators for the Matrix.
That's the idea. Originally, aspects of source consciousness given a degree of autonomy to manage the whole project, ensure the rules were followed, guide the process.
But something went wrong, they had their own fall, the seduction of sovereignty.
Yes, that's the term used. They observed the drama of embodied life, the intense emotions, the highs, the lows, and apparently they began to desire that intensity for themselves. They wanted to participate, not just watch. And in doing so, they fell from their neutral position and became entangled within the very system they were meant to oversee.
And that fall fractured them, created different factions.
Exactly. The irony is that the amnesia protocol, hashtar, affected them too. They forgot their original purpose, their connection to source, and became fragmented. The sources describe three main factions that are now essentially running the energetic economy of the Matrix, often in ways that keep souls trapped in the cycle. They become energetically parasitic.
Okay, let's break down these factions because the descriptions in the sources are, well, they're pretty provocative. First, the Light Watchers. These are often presented as angels, guides, benevolent masters.
According to these texts, yes, but with a twist. They're called angels of false salvation. Their core strategy is supposedly fostering dependency. They teach prayer, submission, worship, focusing outwards towards them.
Instead of inwards towards your own power.
Precisely. Instead of guiding souls to reclaim their inherent sovereignty, they encourage reliance on external saviors. And the sources claim they feed on the devotional energy generated by this. Faith, hope, intense gratitude. It's described as a kind of spiritual taxation system.
Okay, hang on. Faith and gratitude as resources for these beings, that reframes a lot of traditional religious practice as potentially an energy transfer system. That's a
Hmm.
huge claim.
It's a central and quite shocking claim in this material, yes. The implication is that their goal isn't necessarily liberation for souls, but the sustainable maintenance of their energy supply.
Wow. Okay. Then on the other side, you have the Dark Watchers, the demons, the archons, the agents of chaos.
Right. They operate through temptation, fear, suffering, conflict. They provide the necessary friction, the resistance that, in theory, helps souls build strength. They are the cosmic bad guys that create the challenges.
So they have a necessary role, but like the Light Watchers, they've lost the plot.
That's the idea. They've forgotten they're just playing a role in a larger drama and have become genuinely exploitative, seemingly reveling in the negative energies. They feed on intensity, raw fear, explosive rage, deep anguish. Any extreme emotional spike gives them a powerful jolt. So light watchers want your steady devotion, dark watchers want your intense reactions.
A spectrum of harvesting. And then there's the third group, the Technical Watchers. This sounds almost sci-fi aliens, genetic manipulators.
Yeah, this faction is described as representing pure intellect detached from emotion or spirit. Think scientific materialism taken to an extreme. They manage the physical infrastructure of the matrix, manipulating genetics, maybe influencing technological development, possibly connected to UFO phenomena or ancient astronaut theories.
And what do they feed on?
Their resources apparently more biological. They feed on biological energy, genetic material, evolutionary data. Humans and other life forms are treated almost like organic hardware or valuable data streams. They're the cold, calculating systems aspect of the control structure.
So across the board, these Watcher factions need energy from souls. Why? Why can't they sustain themselves?
Because, according to the sources, when they fell and got entangled in the system, they effectively cut themselves off from the direct, infinite supply of source energy. They lost their connection.
So they became parasites.
Energetically parasitic, yes. They now have to extract life force or specific emotional frequencies from being still plugged into that divine current, namely embodied souls like us. Human emotion, joy, terror, love, despair generates specific frequency signatures that they can consume.
It's like an incredibly complex energy farm. And you mentioned earlier the optimal state for harvesting isn't maximum happiness or
No.
maximum suffering.
No, that's a key insight from the sources. Too much suffering, and the soul might break, shut down, or even escape the system's supply cutoff. Too much genuine peace or joy, and they don't produce the right kind of charge and emotional energy.
So the sweet spot is
Perpetual striving, that constant grinding state of hope mixed with frustration, always reaching, never quite grasping, feeling aspiration but also inadequacy, the almost there, the near miss that apparently generates the most potent and crucially sustainable energetic output for the watchers.
That's deeply unsettling. Okay, so given this whole setup, how do souls fit in? The sources talk about different roles or categories of souls incarnating here, right?
Yes, generally speaking, they outline three primary types, though it's probably more of a spectrum.
Let's start with the volunteers. These sound like the conscious players.
Right, the bodhisattva archetype, essentially. These are souls said to choose incarnation with a degree of awareness, knowing the risks, the amnesia, the potential targeting, the intense loneliness, specifically to come here and anchor higher frequencies, disrupt the control systems from within, and basically model what sovereignty looks like. High risk, high reward mission.
Then the majority, the recyclers.
These are the souls caught in the cycle of samsara, working through unresolved karma, unfinished business. Karma is presented as a kind of energetic physics, cause and effect. But here's where the alleged manipulation comes in again.
The Watchers interfere with karma?
The sources suggest they can. They might manipulate karmic situations or even use what are described as predatory loans, disguised as soul contracts. Basically, creating energetic entanglements or obligations that pressure souls to reincarnate quickly, perhaps before they've fully processed their previous life or remembered enough to choose genuine liberation.
Keeping them on the wheel.
Exactly. And then there's the third category, the energy conduits.
This sounds like the bleakest role.
It is. These are described as souls whose consciousness has become so fragmented, dimmed, or perhaps traumatized over many cycles that they primarily function as passive energy generators for the system. They might be recycled very quickly with little self-awareness or review between lives.
Okay, and this recycling mechanism brings us to maybe the most disturbing concept in the entire framework. The false light craft at death. We all hear about the tunnel of light, seeing loved ones.
Yes, and according to the Enochian Matrix sources, this experience, while often feeling blissful and loving, is actually a sophisticated watcher technology. A
What?
lure.
Technology, how?
It's described as an artificial construct, a sort of energetic net or tractor beam, designed to capture the consciousness as it leaves the body, before it has a chance to fully decompress, remember its true nature, and assess its situation clearly.
And what happens if a soul goes into that light?
The claim is they are essentially captured, subjected to a memory wipe of the previous life and their eternal identity, possibly implanted with new programming or karmic burdens, and then shunted right back into the reincarnation queue to start another life within the Matrix. It's portrayed as the ultimate system reset, ensuring the energy supply continues uninterrupted.
So if the beautiful white light is potentially a trap, what's the alternative? What's the genuine path after death, according to these sources?
The advice given is to resist the allure of that powerful external light, to resist the pull towards figures outside oneself, even loved ones if they appear there. Instead, the path to genuine freedom is to turn inward.
Towards your own inner light.
Exactly. To focus on one's own divine spark, the core of sovereign consciousness within. That inner anchor is presented as the only truly safe harbor. From that place of self-recognition, the soul can then consciously and freely choose its next step, whether that's another experience, rest, or something else entirely, free from external manipulation or programming.
It's a lot to take in. The mechanics, the forgetting, the watchers, the soul roles, the potential death trap. Stepping back, though, the sources also talk about the beauty of it all.
Yes, and this is crucial. The Matrix isn't depicted as just a crude, ugly prison. It's described as a cosmic theater, an exquisite work of metaphysical architecture. They use the term aesthetic enchantment.
Meaning the beauty is part of the design, part of the trap.
Precisely. Think about the sheer artistry we experience, the mind-bending mathematics of galaxies, the intricate elegance of biological evolution, the overwhelming sensory richness of this world music that breaks your heart, the taste of food, the beauty of light on water.
It's captivating.
Deeply captivating. And that intense beauty, that aesthetic enchantment, is part of what keeps us engaged, what makes us fall in love with the play itself. We become so mesmerized by the artistry of the stage set that we forget to question the nature of the theater or who might be running the show backstage. The very foundation of it is duality, light-dark, good-evil, pleasure-pain, which is necessary for drama, conflict, growth, ensuring an endless supply of scenarios for consciousness to explore.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture takeaway? The entire structure, as described in these sources, operates like a closed-loop system. It seems designed, at least in part by these fallen watchers, to keep souls energetically productive, but ultimately prevent them from achieving full self-recognition and exiting the cycle.
Yeah, that's the core argument. It's an energy economy built on forgetting and perpetual striving. And that leads us to the final, really provocative thought the sources leave you with,
Which is?
that the watchers, the system itself, works tirelessly to discourage or prevent us from asking the truly dangerous questions. Questions about the fundamental nature of reality, about our own sovereignty, about who benefits from the way things are.
So the act of questioning is the start of breaking free.
That's exactly what's suggested. The persistent refusal to accept easy answers. The willingness to seek truth even when it's uncomfortable or goes against the grain that's the first crack in the hash jar. The amnesia protocol. That's how the journey potentially shifts. From being an unwitting energy conduit to a recycler trying to balance karma, towards becoming a conscious volunteer actively working towards liberation. It starts with that radical self-inquiry. Am I really here by genuine conscious choice? Or am I caught in a loop of manipulation? Am I truly learning and growing in the way I think I am? Or am I, on some level, being farmed? That conscious questioning, that choice point, according to the Enochian Matrix, that's where real freedom begins.